Yo, what's up, guys? Game number 6 coming your way. Well, it's not. This is a placeholder video. I'm going to make a video here so that it doesn't spoil the result. I do appreciate you tuning into the whole set. As you can probably tell by now, Liereyyy and Hearttt, the series is over. I guess I won't even spoil it just in case you're watching this first. But I am going to put a video on here because I did cast some other Liereyyy and Hearttt matches. This is a rec from prior to the tournament. I think it's a really great game, and it's a decent cast on my part. You know, I did the best I could. So check this one out and enjoy. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being here. Let's see. So yeah, no, Senshar, I'm out in Gothenburg. Are you in Sweden? I would think if you're asking that question, maybe you're there. As you can see, we have a match here that is a recorded one. We're getting warmed up today for the games that are coming in 42 minutes. It's Killer B, it is Hearttt and Liereyyy. These games were played a month ago. These guys haven't played 1v1 Wololo Kingdoms on Voobly for a month. I would think they probably are practicing in private or with Smurfs or doing something fancy and intelligent. But of course, how many recs do you really want to put on Voobly of yourself playing the exact settings of the tournament? Just doesn't seem like that wise of a move, and I think this is common with players. I can't prove it to you, but I'm pretty sure Viper and Doubt have some secret back-channel way of practicing. Hey, we got a big host there, Mr. Jon Snow. I'll say thanks again after the ad plays. I'm assuming there'll be an ad, but I do want to say thanks to Jon Snow. Killer B is like Hasselhoff, American, who's big in the Deutschland. Johnny Halliday in France, Belgium. Okay, so Aftermath v. Aftermath going on here. Thanks again, Jon Snow, for the host. Good to have you with us. I'm glad your viewers are here for a moment. I'm sure they probably haven't seen the channel before, so hopefully you guys enjoy your stay. We've got Magyars versus Huns. This is a warm-up match. You can see that countdown on the channel there. That's when the live matches start. This is the last match played between Liereyyy and Hearttt that I could find on Voobly. Okay, so we've got Liereyyy playing as the Magyars. It's a really nice fast civ to go into scouts if you want to. Versus Huns, it seems like both guys could go directly into scouts and face off in the middle of the map, but let's see what they are working with, and then we'll try to figure out why they make the decisions they do. Liereyyy will have his main berries to the north, Stone out on the east of his base. Woodline there isn't so terrible. Woodline on the back isn't so bad either, and it's a relatively closable map. I mean, in general, this will take a little bit of time to close off, but if you did, life could be worse, especially on Arabia. 4 vills out on wood early for Liereyyy, so maybe not that fast scout play that I thought he might go into. Hearttt on the other side is playing as Huns. Mr. Hearttt will have 3 vills on wood and may possibly go scouts. Why get presumptuous? We will see early deer being pushed in from Mr. Hearttt. He still hasn't found his sheep. He's still sheep scouting and looking for a few more sheep here on the map. He is, for now at least, going to be on his side, figuring all that out. Meanwhile, Liereyyy will be coming forward, maybe thinking about laming. These guys were practicing for this tournament, King of the Desert, so maybe Liereyyy can find a sheep or so. Backberry for the red player, really nice woodline. It's thin here, but really probably doesn't matter, at least not in the early game. Main gold's out on the front, secondary gold's out on the front, and this hill is a really awkward hill. I don't like this map for Hearttt all so much. I hate when you have a hill like this that's just too far from your TC for you to really control in the early game. Could be a bit awkward for Hearttt, but it does look like Hearttt with 3 vills on wood will probably be able to go into scouts and probably have the faster build, potentially. Liereyyy did have 4 early. He could go with men-at-arms. He could go towers, which would be surprising to me, but yeah, we'll see what he does. Anyway, little warm-up game here. Hopefully you guys are having a nice Saturday. I spent some time in Gothenburg via my university in Germany. I liked it a lot. Where did you go to school in Germany, my friend? I've only been to Germany twice, but I go there a lot. I'll be going there a lot for work. Okay, what do we got? Liereyyy did go forward. I do not see any sheep that he's lamed. He took a little bit of TC arrow fire, but nothing really to write home about. Red player is just now coming forward after finding his resources. And at least for the moment, the build here from Hearttt looks very much like a fast scout build. He's powering down that boar, and it does look like he can go up on 20 vills. We'll see what he decides to do. Liereyyy will drop a barracks back at home, so he will be able to go men-at-arms if he still chooses to. Liereyy's walled toward the TC on one side. He can come out and take this gold and probably wall those villagers in, expecting some scouts from his opponent. Liereyyy here has circled around. He's figured out a little bit of what his opponent is up to, and he's going to find that second lumber camp just as it's being built. Believe it or not, I think that's a pretty good tell. Seeing that second lumber camp is probably going to make Liereyyy feel pretty comfortable that his opponent is just going with a, just a regular old, kind of the basic build. I always think of it as the basic build. If you go up with 20 or 21 vills, yeah, it's pretty basic. Hearttt here will go up on 20 since he's Huns. It's relatively easy to do, sending a couple villagers out to the woodline. And it just looks like it's going to be a straightforward, normal Huns build. Probably scouts. Anyway, blue player is adding in his second lumber camp as well. Liereyyy will click up at 803 on 21 vills. And at least for the moment, Liereyy's barracks is going to be idle. He needs a little more food if he is going to build militia, so we'll keep an eye on that. I spent €620 for 8 QM. I think this is even crazy for Paris. 8 QM. Anyway, barracks is still idle, so Liereyyy got that up early, but he went with a pretty straightforward early game build. 21 vil up, 2 lumber camps. Liereyyy still hasn't done any walling on this side. It's a little too early for that, but he is going to go back and push a couple of deer. I think he expects some scouts from his opponent, and he may build some scouts of his own. No gold economy for Liereyyy, and Magyar scouts, of course. Well, I probably don't need to show you this, but cheaper and free forging in the early game is going to help a lot. Those scouts are really beefy. They're not just good for picking villagers off, but if your opponent's going scouts, that you'll have a nice little bonus tech-wise. Hearttt will be up first, not terribly surprising, and we'll see if he decides to drop a stable. He will. A couple villagers out building that on the front. Heartt's got a couple lumber camps up. Sorry, just surveying his economy real quick. Double bit axe horse collar. Just a normal scout build here for the red player. What's Heartt's scouting look like? At the moment, Hearttt has circled around. Hey, there's an announcement for the Buzz team playing RTS League. Heartt's figured out where the main resources are. He knows there's a lumber camp here. Well, probably knows. And he's found that main gold from Liereyyy. Liereyy's going to get up to the feudal age, drop a stable, already pushing a spearman forward. Thinking about seizing the initiative here. And we'll see how this goes. SQM. 8. Spent €620 for 8 SQM. Standard cubic meters. Is that? I don't know. Anyway, 8 QM, 86 square feet. Thanks so much. I love Voobly. Sorry, I'm just not used to seeing SQM, but yeah, square meters, of course. Makes sense. Makes sense. I might have been able to figure that out. It would have taken me some time. Anyway, red player is pushing in deer, still building up his early game eco. We are going to see those scouts push out eventually, but Liereyyy has got a little bit of a wolf rush here. He doesn't want it to be a wolf rush, but it looks like an opportunity for him to drag a bunch of wolves into Heartt's eco. Early spear going down for Liereyyy is a bit annoying, and a second spear taking a bit of damage too. Those early spears can really help you seize the initiative. The red player here is going to be going home, and those spears, they also get +1 damage, so they are a really nice early game unit for sure. Spearman in defense here for Hearttt. Granted, one-on-one, Hearttt can't win that fight because Liereyy's got more damage on his spear. Heartt's got a couple of scouts going forward. Shouldn't be any upgrades at this point. Liereyyy is nearly walled in. He has to block in the far back corner. Liereyy's not worried about that gold yet. You don't really need to transition to gold so early on a scout build. Neither player has. Liereyyy will turn and fight that spearman in expense of 1 scout, but he is in doing some damage. Red player is into his base, and Hearttt is now sniping away at Liereyyy. Liereyyy seized the initiative on the offensive with a couple of scouts, but back at home, Liereyy's going to lose 2 3 vills. Should be 3 really before any spears show up. This villager having to path around all these scouts, she's dead too. Heartt's grabbed 3 vills for a half of a scout. Well, for 1 scout now. That's a pretty damn good fight for him. In the meantime, though, Liereyyy is doing damage on the backside of Heartt's economy. He's grabbed a villager or 2. 2 villager advantage at the moment for Hearttt. Eventually, these scouts from Liereyyy will get cleaned up. The spears from Liereyyy are not, but they're not nearly as scary as having 3 scouts in the back of your economy. So Hearttt will continue to roam around and annoy Liereyyy, and he can idle this whole area if he wants to, and he should any moment. He's got his units not on aggressive, hanging out on standby, I suppose. Those spears still roaming in, still being annoying, but I'd be surprised if they pick a Vil, even with the +1 damage. Just on low HP, that would be quite well. You know what? They're going to pincer a villager here and maybe get her. Maybe we will see a villager go down. This Vil has a bit of a death wish. She's going to make it home for Christmas. We'll see a scout taking a little bit of damage, and in the end, I think it's all good on that side. Liereyyy is also all set on his side, pushing away those couple of scouts from Hearttt with the spearmen of his own. Man, this tournament makes me think that Hearttt is one of those kung fu masters who doesn't show his true powers until the end of the film. I think there is a little bit of that storyline. I think that's a really good analysis. There's something really amazing about, all right, we all know Hearttt. We all know that he plays with Liereyyy and MBL. Some people would say that he's the, I don't know, the least good player of Aftermath, or before this tournament they might have said that. But man, has he looked good. He's looked pretty damn good. Looking forward to seeing these matches live here in just a few minutes. Hearttt is going to sacrifice a lot of HP on his scouts to get one more Vil. He will have a 1 villager advantage when all is said and done. Liereyy's still got a couple of spearmen alive on the front. And Hearttt, unfortunately, is not fighting the weaker ones, and he's still getting annoyed. It's really amazing how much annoyance these spears have put down. But Hearttt will carry a 2 villager advantage. Well, more like a 1 villager. No, actually a full 2 villager advantage, since both players are grabbing wheelbarrow at the moment. And we will see this game roll on. Early game, I suppose, in a battle like this. Both players going with a stable. You're trying to set your opponent back a little bit. Hun's meta is to transition into some ranges, and it's not really a bad idea to do that as Magyars, but in this case, we will see double stables from the Magyars player, Liereyyy, and a bit of walling. So Liereyy's going to close in one flank, couple villagers out on gold. Eventually, he'll build up that gold economy so that he can get some knights out. Should help him a lot. Should be very nice early, as his opponent is up to castle already. No archers from Hearttt. Maybe it's a little bit more meta to bring some archers, but in this case, Hearttt will go straight for cav archers by the looks of it. 3rd range coming down, gold mining on the way, castle age on the way. And Hearttt will get those units forward to try to do some damage. He can hit this wood line a bit. He'll probably kill that female villager, but he's probably not going to have a super easy time of it. Those first couple cav archers can be really nice and really annoying, but it is still a bit slow to push through a palisade if he's got something like, I don't know, 6 cav archers. It's not so bad. We'll see. We'll see. Hearttt dropping a blacksmith, dropping another range. We'll be able to grab fletching in just a moment. Liereyyy on the other side is on the way to castle age as well. He's got those double stables down. And, Liereyyy deleting a palisade there and then having to rebuild it. These villagers are going to have to move, and that Vil, who probably could have died if it were cav archers, she's going to be fine. Liereyyy is really intent on sneaking a villager out, though. This is his second time trying to get a villager out of his base. He was trying to get a Vil out here, and he'll sneak one out the other side. So we'll keep an eye on that villager, and we'll figure it out. Sup, Flo? Good to see you. Yo, Skywalker. Anyway, good for your studies. Hard to get drunk in the Nordics. Yeah, indeed. Indeed it is. It's quite expensive here to... it's not so bad. Keeps me from becoming a full-on alcoholic, but... Castle Age is in for Mr. Hearttt. Bodkin Arrow is on the way, and I would expect these 3 ranges to all have cav archers coming, and they do, and they're all going to meet up right in front of Heartt's base. So Hearttt might wait for the magic number, maybe 6, to get forward. Hearttt will also have a quick university, which could really turn the tide in a fight versus some knights. It's always good to be able to hit a moving target when your target is going to be, I don't know, running at you. You want to hit them before they get there. That sneaky villager from Liereyyy is going to die, unfortunately. No bloodlines on the cav archers just yet. Hearttt here is just focused on getting the numbers out right now. He won't forget bloodlines, I don't think, but not going to have it just yet. On the other side of the map, we will have bloodlines for Liereyyy. +2 since he's Magyars for free, +1 defense. The other defense upgrade is coming now. So once +2 comes in, Liereyyy should be able to hold the line for a bit with his knights. It looks like we will see a defensive siege workshop and a TC from the blue player. Liereyy's going to knock down that wall and then build up a TC, which is interesting. Not sure why he deleted those walls. I think it's fine to have them there. It's nice to be closed on that side, but he'll get it done. Siege workshop in the middle of Liereyy's economy, and he's going to be the first player with a second town center in this game. Red player Hearttt has gone a little more aggressive. 3 ranges, university, blacksmith. He's spending a lot of wood here. And he's going to see if he can do some damage with cav archers. +2/+1 for Hearttt. Still no bloodlines in just yet. Liereyyy will grab husbandry so he can chase down those cav archers. Gotta have husbandry early or your opponent can just hit you whenever they want and then run away. Red player is not going to get in just yet. Liereyy's numbers are still slowly rising. Still just 7 military for him. Second TC is down. Villager count is a couple in advantage for the red player. But we'll see Liereyyy probably pull out ahead of that because of his second town center. Bloodline's now coming for Hearttt, microing away from these knights. Remember, they do have +2 defense, but they will slowly take some damage as they go back. Heartt's going to get his last spearman to use, get in a few pokes, bring in a couple more cav archers, and it might be Liereyy's time to go back. We shall see. Bloodlines comes in, so Liereyyy is going to have a lot slower time chopping through this group. And all of a sudden, 3 knights down from Liereyyy. He's going to go back home and lick his wounds for a moment. Liereyyy did drop an early siege workshop in defense, and he will have a mangonel out in just a moment to defend his base. Double stables are not busy at the moment. All the food eco Liereyyy has is going toward villager production. Red player Hearttt is going to get a second town center down. He's a little later than his opponent, but the vill count is dead even, so it's all good in the hood. A little bit of harassment, I suppose, from these cav archers coming soon. So we have a match coming live between these two players. Just about 30 minutes of time. Looks like 26 minutes. Can't wait to see who can grab the spot in the finals. The first spot in the finals is coming today. Meat Shield of Knights with a mangonel behind them should push Hearttt back for now. Liereyyy will take over this hill in front of his base, which I think is an important hill for him to control. Both guys on 2 GCs, both guys on 49 vills. Pretty darn equal match at the moment as Liereyyy and Hearttt both build up their economy. They slowly will be a little more slow with building up military now that a 3rd TC is coming for the red player. We'll probably see his 3rd TC from Liereyyy as well pretty soon. Wood economy is not really there. Spent a little bit of wood on a mango. We'll keep an eye on Liereyyy here. So far, no real damage done in the castle age, but right as I say that, a couple of villagers getting sniped down from Hearttt. Gonna knock Liereyyy down a little bit. Just both players just using small armies to try to set each other back. Well, Liereyy's using a small army to just keep his base safe. But we will see Hearttt trying to do a little bit of damage. 4RM Pakistan, welcome to the channel. Thanks again, Mr. Jon Snow, for the host. And like I said, guys, we'll get to these live games as soon as they happen. No major spoilers, but I will tell you, this game's going to be over before those games start. Both of these mangonels are kind of going down for cheap. Only one shot came in there, and Liereyyy is now suddenly in a pretty bad spot. Those mangonels were kind of key to his defense. His knights here, especially with a little bit of micro from Hearttt, are not going to last long. Hearttt is 2-shotting full HP knights right now, and Liereyyy is committing to this fight. Unfortunately, Liereyyy is going to lose a lot. The cav archer numbers are dwindling, but of course, you know, Hearttt is Huns, so it's not the end of the world. Hearttt back at home has a 3rd TC down 60 villagers. Liereyyy on his side is keeping up on the villager count with just 2 TCs, which is a little bit confusing to me. Not sure how Liereyyy is doing that at the moment, but Hearttt should slowly but surely pull ahead of his opponent. Okay, let's check out Heartt's position. I'm thinking Wololo Kingdoms. Is there anything different here? Cav Archers cost -1020 in Castle and Imperial. Is that a nerf? Thanks for the follow. Tiskakokot. Tough name, tough name. Trying to think of what the price should be for Cav Archers. 30. It seems like it's a bit of a nerf compared to AOC. Sorry, I never really thought about that, but I think AOC is a little cheaper. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? You guys will have to let me know. It's a warm-up game for me too, I suppose. Anyway, Liereyyy is still standing toe-to-toe with Hearttt on villager count. Heartt's economy is quite safe. This TC on the front does a nice job to protect that front gold. There are a couple of vills here kind of hanging out in no man's land, but Liereyyy is all in for the defensive play at the moment. Heartt's roaming around with a pretty nasty-looking group, does poke through a palisade, and I believe grab one more vill. I think those two corpses might have been from before. We will slowly see Liereyyy try to mass up these numbers, but right now his 3 stables are a little bit cut off from each other. It's a little bit uncomfortable for Liereyyy. He will push this back, though. And it should be fine for him as we move on. Okay, so the blue player, I don't love his position. He's had to drop a couple more stables and really invest a lot to keep his economy safe. In the meantime, his opponent should be pulling away on the villager count, is 3 villagers ahead. That number should continue to increase with the 3rd town center. And it might also, it also looks like Hearttt will be the first one up to Imp by quite a lot. Liereyy's just spending a lot of food and gold at the moment. He kind of has to. Can't afford to let his guard down. He's played defense all game. Looks like he wants to make a push here in the Castle Age to try to even things up. Trying to even things up. Yeah, CA is nerfed. In AOC, they are 25, and 30% cheaper. Thanks, Kugel. I couldn't remember the numbers, but it looked like a quite big nerf. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. We will see a couple of monks healing up these knights before Liereyyy decides to dive in. He may want to wait until, well, Hearttt is actually not clicking Imp. I was going to say he may want to be waiting until Hearttt takes the plunge and goes to Imp, but in the end, Hearttt is going to add a few more ranges in. Handcard on the way for the red player. He may sense his opponent's build. He is going to find some of these knights. Hearttt here would do well not to be the first one to blink. When your opponent is in full-on castle, it's a little bit hard for you to spend all those resources on Imp. So I like that Hearttt is going to wait just a moment. Heartt's still microing away, still putting down some damage as he does. Liereyyy will be 5-6 villagers behind at the moment, but he will seize the initiative. The only issue is that Hearttt has now seen the number of knights there, and Hearttt can do the math and kind of say, well, that's a pretty big investment. My opponent isn't going Imp right away. And maybe it's time for me to transition, get some pikes into my army, for instance. We'll see. Hearttt will continue to add in some damage or drop down some damage. He does have a couple of knights out to meat shield. Needs something of a meat shield to keep those couple of CA alive. Monk's getting sniped down right away, but one conversion did come in for the blue player. Heartt's coming back home as he clicks Imp. His monastery is down and he's ready to defend against some knights. 1 barracks still for the red player, has not gone into any pike production. Hearttt is going to defend this with CA and a couple of monks, and once Imperial Age comes, he should have a really nice tech advantage versus Liereyyy. What do we got? We got 20 minutes left, boys, before the real matches, the live ones, get going. We'll see how this best of 7 shapes up. One nice thing about this series that's coming is that we're going to see more of the civs than we've seen in all of these best of 5s. Of course, if it goes to 7 games, we'll see 14 civs, and that will be a really nice thing to see. It's great to watch players and learn the meta of Indians, but I feel like I know it now. Like, let's move on to, I don't know, some of these civs that are still good, but not quite as OP. Anyway, Liereyyy is going to come in with that big Castle Age push. Pikeman is on the way for the red player. 2 more barracks are down, so he's ready to defend against knights. He just needs to hold off this first wave. It does seem like Hearttt is clinging to the hill and putting some damage down. He's kind of pinned up against these buildings, so he's not taking damage on every side of his flank, just on one front. The pikes are coming out 2 by 2, and the TC arrow fire is still flying in. Liereyyy really committed deeply to that big Castle Age push, and he's not even going to wait until Heartt's Imperial Age upgrade comes in. Liereyyy will call the GG there. Again, this is not game number 1. This is just a warm-up game from a couple of weeks ago between these two guys. But we saw Hearttt get the better of Liereyyy. I think Liereyy's Civ is a little bit more dynamic in Wololo Kingdoms than Heartt's. But, you know, the game just did not go post-Imperial Age where Liereyyy might have had a bit of an advantage. Hearttt set Liereyyy back a little bit early, got the triple range Cav Archers out, did enough damage and killed enough knights, I would suppose, was really the most important part of that. Killed 2 mangoes as well for really cheap. And Hearttt will grab a win here from Liereyyy. We'll jump out of this match. Maybe check the achievements. Did he even call GG? Maybe. Since it's a rec, you never really know if people call GG on recs. If you resign, for instance, before you say GG, it won't show up on the rec. Hearttt there was up on 20 villagers. Liereyyy was up on 21. Neither guy had a bad Dark Age per se. No resources were stolen or anything like that, but in the end, Hearttt will win the day. He was on the way to Imp, and the military stats really tell the difference. Hearttt had more kills and a little bit cheaper of an army. Liereyy's Knights and Mangonels and losing more is just not a good combination. So we'll jump out of here.